A Conservative association has been accused of rubbing salt into the wounds of former miners after booking its annual dinner at England's National Mining Museum. The Conservative group has been warned it faces a huge protest outside if the event goes ahead as planned. Miners went on strike for a year in the mid-1980s in a dispute over pit closures under the Conservative government of Margaret Thatcher. The Dewsbury Conservatives Association want to have their annual dinner at the National Coal Museum in Wakefield, Yorkshire, pictured, much to the disgust of former miners. The miners' strike in 1984 saw mass civil disobedience as the then PM Margaret Thatcher faced down the National Union of Miners, leading to major battles such as this in Orgreave, Sheffield. Striking miners and police fought pitched battles across large areas of the country, provoking bitterness in some mining communities which blame the Tory party for destroying the industry. Dewsbury County Conservative Association has booked its annual dinner for March the 10th next year at the National Coal Mining Museum in Wakefield, much to the anger of former miners. But a West Yorkshire branch of the Tory party has booked to hold the event at the National Coal Mining Museum in Wakefield regardless. The Dewsbury County Conservative Association described it as a venue with a difference. But the choice of location has left mine workers and their families fuming after the mining industry was destroyed under Tory rule. After her election in 1979, Margaret Thatcher was determined to face down the National Union of Miners. Under her plan, she wanted to force an industrial dispute between the government and the mine union during springtime when there was less need for coal. Also, in advance of her strike, she stockpiled coal in power stations to reduce the immediate impact of the strike. In addition, she mobilized the police in an unprecedented fashion to stop militant miners from traveling the country. In March 1984, 5 pits were designated for closure for economic reasons, prompting strikes in Yorkshire and Scotland. Further areas soon walked out, although some areas such as Nottinghamshire were reluctant to strike. Miners who continued working during the strike were described as scabs. More than 11,000 people were arrested during the year-long dispute which broke the power of the NUM. After the failure of the strike, the government continued a policy of closing down coal mines, removing well-paid jobs from communities across the north. The annual dinner is scheduled for March the 10th next year, which would be 2 days after the anniversary of the return to work at the end of the miners' strike in 1985. The Orgreave Truth and Justice Campaign and the National Union of Mine Workers, NUM, has urged the trustees at the museum to think again. NUM General Secretary, Chris Kitchen, has written to the Board of Trustees at the museum to object. He wrote, "It is a matter of common knowledge that the Conservative Party conspired to close and destroy the coal industry in the UK. I think it is wrong to allow the museum to be used by a political party that is clearly determined to keep rubbing salt in the wounds it created wherever it can."